Agent Investor. I'm your host, Tom Caffarella. And today we're going to talk about a topic that I don't care who you are listening on this call right now, every single person can benefit from. In fact, I would argue that the topic for today and the topic of this series that I'm going to have coming up is the most important topic that agents can ever learn about. It's the most important topic that there is out there for real estate agents, which is how do you, as an agent, generate seller appointments and deals? How do you get a face to face appointment with the seller week in and week out, or maybe even multiple face to face seller appointments week in and week out? I want to talk first a little bit about like the why. Why do we care about seller appointments? Why not just take, whatever comes to us, whether that's a listing appointment or a buyer appointment, etc. There are so many reasons, but let's just talk about what I believe the most important reason is. To me, the most important reason is related to the agent investor model. And the agent investor model that I talk about, quite a bit, goes like this. And to me, this is the easiest way that real estate agents can earn wealth. It's the easiest way that real estate agents can get off the real estate roller coaster. And it goes like this. There's 3 steps to it. Step number 1 for real estate agents is to continue to sell real estate like you've always sold real estate, except make a little bit of a tweak to focus on sellers. Why do we make a little bit of a tweak to focus on sellers? Well, we do that both for the agent side of our business and the investor side of our business, but we know that 20% of all sellers are going to take a cash offer, which leads us to step number 2. Step number 2 is to flip those deals where when you meet with a seller, they would prefer the convenience of a cash offer over going to the MLS, marketing their property, having a little bit more uncertainty about their sale, but getting a little bit more money. And step number 3 is to take the big chunks of income that you get from flipping and invest it into long-term passive assets, whether that be short-term rentals, whether that be syndications, whether that be rental units that you own and operate. That is going to allow you to get off the real estate roller coaster. That is going to allow you to have guaranteed monthly income coming in each and every month. That is going to allow you to fire the clients that you know that you should be firing. It's going to allow you to not always have to work nights and weekends. And when we work with real estate agents, either virtually like this, like maybe you've never met me in person, or if you get more involved and you're a part of our company, you're a part of our inner circle, what I practice, preach, and teach is that real estate agents should have a goal of earning enough passive income every month to pay their bills. For some people, that's $5,000 a month. For some people, that's $10,000 a month. For some people, it's a whole lot more than that. But regardless of the amount that you need to earn every single month, following the agent investor model is a tried and true way to do this. It is, in my opinion, the easiest way to do this for the common agent. And agents have 95% of the skills necessary in order to pull this all off. But the other day I put a poll out, and I put a poll out in my Facebook group. If you're not a member of my Facebook group, go into Facebook, putting agent investor in there and join the group. But put a poll in there. I said, for those agents who are not yet partnering with us or who haven't partnered with us, what's the number 1 reason that you haven't? And I gave a few potential answers. Answer number 1 was, hey, I never heard about the program. I don't know anything about it. Answer number 2 was, I heard about the program, but I'm not interested. And answer number 3 was the most common answer. Almost like 80 to 90% of the people selected it, which they said, I know about the agent partnership program, but I haven't found a deal yet. So we're going to talk about that today. How do you actually find deals? But before I talk about how to find deals and about this seller appointment and deal finding series that I'm going to do over a number of podcasts, I just want to say that the agent partnership program, for those of you who are not aware of it, I know a lot of you are, but I just want to make sure that if you're listening to me for the first time, our company, if you find a fix and flip opportunity, we will put up all the money, we will do all the construction, and we will split the profits with you 50-50. This allows agents to put up none of their own capital. Doesn't matter if you have a construction background, we'll do all that work. The average profit that we split is $80,000. We've had a couple in the last few weeks that have gone well over $100,000, which means that we've cut checks to agents that we've partnered with for over 50 grand. Again, how does that fit back into the agent investor model? Agent investor model, step number one, keep selling real estate, but focus a little bit more on sellers, knowing that 20% of those sellers are going to take a cash offer. Either do the flips yourself and make the 80 grand, or partner with us and make 40 or 50, and then invest that capital into long-term passive assets. Okay. So that was the poll. It made me realize, well, maybe I've done a pretty good job of putting it out there that what the partnership program is. Again, for those of you who want more details on that, make sure you just jump on my next call at www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. And I'll talk all about the partner program. I'll talk about all how we give away seller appointments to agents. I'll talk about quite a few different things. I'm not going to talk about that much here. So I'm going under the assumption that most of you know about the partner program, that a bunch of you probably want to do it because it makes a lot of sense, right? Even if you're already flipping houses, we're going to do some deals that you won't do. You're not going to have to put up your capital. You're not going to have to spend time managing the project. So most people who come on that weekly call at www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com leave saying, yeah, I do want to do deals with you, but I haven't come across one, or I don't really know how to find one, or yeah, that sounds really great. Like if I ever bump into one, but in the back of your head thinking, I don't think I'm ever going to come across a deal because I haven't come across a deal in the last couple of years. So when it comes to generating these opportunities, I always say this, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with. If at all possible, the easiest way to start generating seller appointments and getting these types of deals is to get around other people that are doing it. Okay, I know that sounds really simple, but if you're constantly around traditional agents, there's nothing wrong with traditional agents. But if you're constantly around, or you're in mastermind groups, or you're being coached by somebody, and the main focus is going out and getting buyer leads, buying Zillow, buying Realtor, like how do I get a deal at an open house? Like that's all great stuff. But you're not going to follow the agent investor model if you're hanging out with people who 80% of their business is working with buyers. And again, I'm not knocking that. I'm just stating the fact that if you want to become an agent investor, you want to generate more seller opportunities, you want to generate more flip opportunities, you want to partner with us, the easiest and quickest thing you can do is start to get around other people that are doing this. Again, you can jump on my call to learn more about how to do that by going to www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. If you just did that, you'd be doing the most important thing that you can do. Having said that, I do want to talk today about the series that we're going to be doing over probably the next 6, 7, 8 weeks, which is going to be focused on, let's just say that you're in a totally different state. You can never meet me in person. You can never be a part of my team. And you just wanted to learn virtually, on the go. You wanted to listen to a podcast and learn how to do this stuff. I'm going to spend a bunch of time over the next 5, 6, 7, 8 podcasts on how to generate these seller opportunities. How do you get a seller appointment or 2 every single week? Because we know that most agents don't. Even fairly successful agents that list a good amount of houses still typically don't go on 1 or 2 or 3 seller appointments per week. It's not common. The only agents who really go on 1 or 2 or 3 seller appointments per week are ones that follow our model and focus on sellers, or super top producers, the 1% that just have so much business going on, that they have so much buyer and seller activity that they're getting these appointments each and every week. If you don't fall into that category, if you're not listing 30 or 40 houses a year, which like far less than 1% are, then I'm talking to you right now. I'm talking about taking a more proactive approach to generating seller opportunities and finding deals. Like I said, step number 1 to doing that, in my opinion, is to get around more people that are doing it. But step number 2 is to actually make the conscious decision, like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I am going to generate more seller appointments and find more deals. Most people don't do that. Every week on my call, I'll get 20, 30, 40 agents on the call, and almost all of them tell me, yeah, when I come across a deal, I'm going to send it your way. And then I talk about the steps necessary in order to do that. Like, okay, it's great if you happen to accidentally find a piece of gold on the ground, you'll pick it up. Great. Like anybody would do that. But are you going to make the decision to commit to actually doing this and trying to find them? Because you are far more likely to find some gold somewhere if you're looking every day, rather than if you accidentally bump into it. So I believe that that's as much of an important decision as anything. So getting around other people that are doing it and making the conscious decision to do it. So we talked about the why. Why would you want to do it? Well, we talked about the agent investor component, which if you find more seller appointments, it's going to automatically generate more deals, more investor deals, because 20% of all sellers are going to take the offer. That's going to give you big chunks of income that you can do whatever you want with them. You don't have to follow the agent investor model. But if you get big chunks of income and then you invest them into long-term passive assets, at some point in a 2, 3, 4, 5-year period, you're going to have 6 figures of passive income coming in. And again, when people jump on my call, when people meet me, when people talk to me, I always say the same thing. I don't care why you wanted to talk to me, why you wanted to jump on this call. I don't care what idea you had in your head. The number one thing that you can do for your business and your life is to generate 6 figures or more of passive income, right? You do that, your whole life changes, okay? So that's really why you want to do it. That's the investor side. But there's also a lot of retail benefits. And I know that if you're an agent, you've heard the saying list to last. We all kind of know what the benefits are of getting seller appointments. And we understand it. But a lot of times we don't necessarily take action on it. So quickly, what are some of the benefits? Well, when you get a listing, you get paid a lot faster, right? You go into somebody's house, you sign a listing agreement, and in general, like they're going to be selling somewhat soon. And as soon as you put that property on the market, we're talking in 2025 right now, 45, 60 days later, you're probably going to get paid. As compared to you meet with a buyer, oh yeah, I want to buy a house this year. Well, in this market, and we all know this, we're never surprised if they're like, yeah, couldn't find anything. I'm going to rent again for another year. Then the next year they try again. Yeah, couldn't find anything. I'm going to rent again. And in some cases, people can be working with buyers over multiple years. So you get paid a lot faster if you work listings. Second thing about listings is there's just more guaranteed. So what do you have more confidence in putting money in your pocket? You have more confidence when you sign a listing agreement at a good price, that you know that you're going to have 30, 40, 50, 60 people at an open house? Or do you feel more comfortable and confident when you sign a buyer agreement and you're working with one of those buyers that is there at that open house with 30, 40, 50, 60 people? Okay. Third reason why listings are better is secondary transactions. So if you have a listing and you promote the listing, in a good way, you are likely every listing or every couple of listings to get another piece of business. So you put your sign in the ground, now you're getting sign calls. You have an open house. Now, we all know there's not always a ton of unrepresented buyers at open houses, but you're going to get those opportunities. You post that listing on your social media, you're going to get instant credibility. You put that sign in the ground, you might get a come list me sign. Geez, I love the way that you ran that open house. I'm actually thinking about selling my house in the next few months. Why don't we talk? Okay. So there are just so many benefits of having these listings. The ability to promote that property online, do a boosted ad, and generate buyer leads off of your listing. And it kind of goes on and on and on, but there's a reason why there's a saying, list to last. It's more predictable income. But again, I challenge all of you that are listening to this right now. You know that listing houses is better than working with buyers. And you know that 20% of all of the sellers that you ever meet with are going to take a cash offer that you can partner with us on and get a big hit of income. But are you making the conscious decision to actually do it? Like, are you going to say, yes, I'm going to start making changes in my business? And I want to talk a little bit about what that actually looks like. When I say make the conscious decision, I'm talking about really doing just a few things. I'm talking about, number one, I believe you need to get around other people that are doing it, right? You don't want to be around a bunch of other people that are talking about working buyer leagues and open houses and how do you get a buyer agency contract signed. That's all well and good. But if you're around people that are focused on that, you're probably going to do that too. So get around other people that are following the agent investor model. Number two, make that conscious decision. Yes, I'm going to do it. And number three, start to block off time every day. Now, when we talk about, having a big impact, in your life with really anything, most people overestimate the amount of time that's needed in order to make a big change. Most people have this idea in their head, like it's going to take hours and hours a day. I'm going to have to flip my life upside down. It's going to be this big Herculean effort. It's not. The part that's hard is the consistency, is doing it nearly every day. And I would argue that if you spent 1 hour a day every single day, take a weekend off or whatever, but if you basically spent 1 hour a day, pretty much every day, focusing on trying to get seller appointments and deals, you'd get a seller appointment every week or two every week. You get one seller appointment a week. You might get an opportunity to do one investing deal in a month. What is one investing deal in a month worth? Well, $80,000 if you do it yourself, or 40 grand if you split it with us. So are you willing to carve out that hour a day? It's not hard. It's actually very simple, but you have to be willing to do it. And so there's other misconceptions when we're talking about generating seller appointments. I talked about the misconception that it's going to take all of your time. You're going to have to flip your life upside down. You're not going to be able to do it because you don't have enough time. And again, I've talked about that maybe an hour a day is fine to start. The second misconception when it comes to generating seller appointments and finding deals is that people automatically, and I don't know why, they automatically think cold calling. Oh, geez, yeah, I know I've been trying to cold call for my entire career. I can't bring myself to do it. I hate calling. And I've never understood it, because cold calling and prospecting is one way to generate seller appointments. I've never done it. Well, I shouldn't say never, but not really something I ever wanted to do. There are so many different ways to generate seller appointments, to generate deals, and most of them don't involve cold calling. Yeah, you can cold call. That's one way to do it. You can absolutely get on the phones. I do know people who are good at it. I do know people who don't mind doing it, and I do know people who I will say that I find that most people are unwilling to cold call on a consistent basis. So what does that mean? If you're unwilling to cold call on a consistent basis, what does that tell me? That tells me that cold calling shouldn't be part of your strategy. So I talked earlier about, you don't need to necessarily do a ton of hours every day, but you do need to be consistent. In order to be consistent, you need to pick something that you're not going to hate. I'm going to say that again. This could be the most important part of what I said today. To get results, you need to be consistent. To be consistent, you can't hate what you're doing every single day. Now, I'm not telling you that you're going to love to do the stuff to generate seller appointments and deals every day. It's not like, you're going to be lounging around, doing nothing and deals are going to find you. Like I talked about the example of, hey, you look down, there's a piece of gold. That usually doesn't happen, hasn't happened to me in my life. So you are going to have to pick a strategy that involves you doing some stuff that you don't maybe love doing, but what stuff can you do consistently and be kind of okay with it? So that's where the series leads in. So I'm going to spend the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks talking about all the strategies that we've used and implemented, the pros and cons, what it takes to actually succeed with the strategy, what type of results that you can expect to get, and ultimately help you choose, if you decide that I want to follow the agent investor model, I want to have more listings, I want to do more deals, have you be able to choose which of these things fits my personality, which of these things am I going to be willing to do most days. So in no particular order, I just written down the different ways that we've generated seller opportunities, investment opportunities, and we're going to cover these one every week over the next 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. I just did this, 10 minutes before jumping on this recording. I may think of a couple ways that aren't coming to the top of my head right now. If I do, I'll add those into the list. If there are other suggestions as to topics that you guys want me to cover related to generating seller appointments, I might do it. And I might come on and kind of debunk some of the myths about things that are being promoted that don't work. So I want you guys over the next 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks to listen, to pay attention, to consider, are you going to make this change? Are you going to spend, 30, 40, an hour, 90 minutes a day generating seller opportunities? And if yes, which of the following 5, 6, 7, 8 things could you do every day and not hate it? All right, so really quickly, we're going to talk a little bit about home valuation. Generating home valuation leads to generate seller appointments. You've all probably seen them, like on Facebook, like, hey, click here to find out the value of my home. That's an inexpensive lead generation tool to generate people and get their phone and their email and their name and their address for people that may consider selling at some point in the future. It's a way to build up that database. We're going to talk about the pros of it, the cons of it, the vendors, how well it can work, etc. The second way that we get seller appointments and investor opportunities is social media. I always say this when it comes to social media. I try to be nice about it, but I feel like it doesn't come out so nice. But I sincerely mean what I'm about to say. Most real estate agents, when I go on their Facebook profile, I don't even know that they're in real estate. Never mind looking for a deal. Right? I would say 2/3, 75% of all real estate agents, when I scroll up and down their Facebook page, they've got like 300 friends and there's nothing on there. I'd have to really search to even find out that they're in real estate. Okay, so that's not a bad thing per se, because all it means is if you're not generating seller appointments using social media and your social media looks like that, well, good, you've got a lot of room to grow. I am not perfect at this, but if you look at my Tommy Caffarella, Tommy Caffarella, Cafarella, Facebook profile, you're going to see that I've got, thousands of followers. I post almost every single day. I post content to help me generate leads. Okay. And I post other stuff too, but we're going to talk about how to do social media the right way, or at the very least to generate opportunities. Then the next thing we're going to talk about is paid marketing. So when I talk about generating seller opportunities, and it comes to, like, a lot of people will tell me, well, yeah, just tell me how to spend like a few $100 a month and I'll spend it and I'll generate seller opportunities. And we're going to talk about what that looks like, what you could and should spend your money on, how much money you need to spend, what's appropriate, what works, what doesn't work, etc. The week after that, we're going to talk about using your sphere of influence. Again, this is going to come off maybe a little bit mean, but I sincerely mean it, and it's not meant to be mean. Most real estate professionals do a really bad job with their sphere of influence. There are a lot of ways to keep in touch with your sphere of influence that don't involve you calling somebody and making up a BS reason to talk to them. It's really never what you should be doing. We're going to talk about how to do sphere of influence to generate more seller appointments and more investment opportunities. Hey, think about this. When was the last time you told your SOI that you were looking for houses to flip? My guess is that even if you follow me, and even if you listen to my podcast, and even if you want to find deals, I bet you none of your SOI knows you're looking to flip houses. I bet almost none. I bet under 20% of the people that are listening right now have even had a conversation with their sellers. By the way, that's a great conversation to have. A lot of people are interested in flipping homes. There's a reason why there's 1,000,001 HGTV shows. Okay. We're also going to talk the week after that. We're going to talk about hosting events. For those of you who like to host events, I like to host in-person events. I think it's fun. I host them at hotels. I always get business from them. It's a great way to build confidence. It's one thing for you guys to be listening to me virtually, and that goes a long way. It's another thing to meet me in person, shake my hand, be able to answer questions. I always get more business in person than I do virtually. So I'm going to talk about how to create events. I'm going to talk about how to get people to them. I'm going to talk about the content that you might want to talk about and how to generate leads. Okay. Again, when you hear all of these, I want you to understand the goal is not to do all of them. The goal is actually really to do one really well. As I'm saying them, you might be thinking in your head, geez, I would never want to run an event. That sounds like a nightmare. If that's what it sounds like to you, that's not your strategy. Your strategy is one of these other strategies. If you listen and you go through this 7-8 week period and you're like, geez, none of these fit, reach out to me. We'll talk through, like, there's got to be something. There might be something I didn't talk about yet. All right, the week after that, we're going to talk about list targeting. A lot of questions I always get. Tom, what do you think about targeting for sale by owners, expireds? What do you think about targeting pre-foreclosures? What do you think about targeting probates? I'm going to talk about lists, what I think about them, how to use them, how they can generate again. What are we talking about? We want to generate more face-to-face seller appointments to generate more investment opportunities, to flip homes, to partner with us, to get those big chunks of income, to invest in long-term assets. And oh, by the way, get a whole bunch of listings while you're at it. Transition your business away from, I talk to agents all the time. I look up their stats on MLS. 80% of your transactions are buyers. Man, that sounds like a nightmare. That sounds like a really, really hard business to run. We want to transition, hey, get you from 80-20 to 50-50. Let's have half of your business be listings. Let's have a third of your income be from flipping. And let's have some of your income start to be from passive investing. Okay. Then another week, I'm going to talk about what not to do. And I get asked every single week on certain things. I'm not going to mention them now, but I get asked on certain weeks, every week on certain things. What if I did this? What if I did that? And so many of the things that you see in webinars and seminars, or that you might read in a book, they just don't work. They are very ineffective. They would be a waste of your time. And I will go into granular details as to why they're a waste of your time. I know this because I tried them. I don't recommend doing them. And I'll give you one example. I should want to write this down as I'm thinking about this, what not to do. Okay, one thing as an example. And this is specific. Like I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, basically. I'm in Wakefield, Mass, but we buy all over New England. So one thing that you'll see, if you go to like a house flipping, like seller generation class, they'll say, oh, put up a bunch of bandit signs, put up a bunch of we buy houses signs, like all over telephone poles. And I did that. Like I woke up at like 4:00 in the morning, put out a bunch, and what happens is you never get leads. You just get angry people. You get all the city people calling you, telling you that they're going to find you. Because what happens, and I'm talking about my area, maybe they work a little bit different in another part of the country. But what happens is I put up a sign at 4:30 in the morning, and at 8:00 in the morning, the city worker sees it. Now they have to take it down. Now so they take it down, right? In our area, you won't see that many we buy houses signs because they automatically get taken down. So all you're really doing is you're spending a bunch of time putting those signs up to then get a call basically saying like, hey, if you put up another sign, we're going to fine you. So again, I'm just giving a snippet of like what we'll be talking about there. And then I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to cover kind of all of them again and how to use them, and hope that you guys find, the strategy that fits for you. Because again, what are we talking about doing here? We're talking about becoming an agent investor. We're talking about transitioning away from so many buyers. We're talking about being able to go on vacation and being able to still earn money. And all the stuff that I talk about becoming financially free, like some people think, oh, it sounds like magical. It's too good to be true. I can tell you it's not. I live it. I literally live it. I started from nothing. I had no capital to start. I had no education that taught me how to do this to start. And I didn't even have a mentor to start. I eventually got many mentors because they provided me with shortcuts, but I didn't have any advantages to start. I've done this. I mean, I started when I was 26. So basically, whatever it is, 15, 16, 17 years ago. I'm 42 now. I'll be 43 in July. And I built up enough passive income by my mid-30s, right? To never have to really work again if I didn't want to become financially free, well over 6 figures of passive income. And I did it by following this model. The agent investor model is doable by really anybody. That's the thing. Like, yeah, like you could build a Fortune 500 company, or you can invent something, or you could hit the lottery, or you could do so many things to make a whole bunch of money. You could be a professional athlete, but the agent investor model is the only one that I know that kind of the average agent who's willing to commit themselves to doing the right thing can achieve financial freedom in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And I give those ranges of time because it really depends on who you are, how much money you need, how much effort you're going to put in. There is a little bit of luck along the way. But it all comes down to first saying, yeah, I want to do this. Like, I want to follow the agent investor model. I am sick. I like being a real estate agent, but I'm sick of doing things the way that I've been doing them because it's not getting me the result I wanted. I have a real estate brokerage. I have over 400 agents in my brokerage. Anytime a new agent comes in and I say, like, why'd you get into real estate? They all say the same thing. They all say the same thing. They want freedom and unlimited income. And we all know if we're a seasoned agent, it's not really what we get out of it, right? We have almost no freedom. We're working with buyers. Buyer calls us on a Friday night. Hey, I want to see the property tomorrow at 9. Well, what are we going to do? We have to take them, right? Following the agent investor model gets you to scale out of that. If all of this makes sense to you and you want to jumpstart some of this, like you're like, yeah, I want to like shortcut, I don't want to wait until 8-9 weeks to hear all this. Jump on my next call at www.partnerwithagенtinvestor.com. That'll get you a little bit further up to speed. No issue with waiting. Like if you guys want to wait, you want to wait till these podcast episodes drop. You take your time. You're at your own pace. If you want to speed up progress, go to www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com and you'll get some faster results and some further information on like what to do next. Thank you guys for tuning in today. I appreciate it. It's always an honor to speak live in front of people. And I like, obviously being listened to after the fact too. It makes me feel good. I hope that you guys got some value out of today. If you want to speed the process up, if you want to learn more, if you want to even learn more about getting on seller appointments with us, something that we've been doing now for 4, 5, 6 months, we give away we give agents one seller appointment per week. That's also a part of the call, www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. Thanks for tuning in.